Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the Adult Dad Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Peter Scott.
I am Ronnie Scott.
There we go.
All right, that sounds nice. Has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, I like it. So how's it been going this past week? How's this next week of self-quarantine been treating you?
Well, we're going to just slide right into our roses and thorns.
Oh, roses and thorns. Here's the animation.
A rose definitely would be, I think, all the new ways we're learning to utilize our space.
Yeah.
I mean, from us, like, moving around where we record the podcast to us, like, blowing up our air mattress and camping out in the living room on the weekend.
Having our little camping sessions.
And I will admit that, like, the second time around it was still fun, but it wasn't, like, as fun and new as the first time.
Yeah.
And we also did it, like, 2 weekends back to back. So I was like, we might sleep in our bed this weekend. And then next weekend, we'll blow up the air mattress again.
Move it to once a month and make it something special.
And I think
that's a routine. Oh,
yeah. I think that's what we really need to do because date nights were such a important thing to us.
Correct.
But now
that we can't go out,
dress
up, sit at a table and eat dinner, can't go to movies, can't go to Iron Age or soccer ramen. World's tiniest violin. Yeah, it does suck. I didn't think I'd miss date night as much as I do.
Really?
It's not the dressing up part. It's just, I like it when you have fun.
Yeah.
I like seeing you happy. That always makes the night better.
Right. My thorn is that I have been struggling as of lately. Like,
that mental health, man.
Oh, that mental health.
That's a real thing.
It is. And before, I think I was always so focused on doing other things.
Distracted.
I was working, I had a nice steady routine.
Right.
But now that routine is shaken up, my brain is like, hey, we don't like this. Like,
we got way too much downtime here. Why? I don't like talking to myself. Let's ramp this back up. Where are we? No, that's real. And it's like I told you the other day, or yesterday. The other day, like it wasn't yesterday.
Or this morning even.
This morning. But what I told you is just for somebody like you, an extrovert, somebody like who feeds off of other people's energy and things like that. The fact that you're just locked down and you're not supposed to go out.
Right.
And the other fact that your family just lives so far from you.
Yeah.
That can be difficult when you don't have so much to feed off of. Because I'll admit, I'm pretty low energy. Unless it's something I'm comfortable being passionate about. I'm pretty low energy. There's not a lot you can feed off of. Like, you're an extrovert, I'm an introvert. That's just how we are. I'm okay with being locked down like this. I can recharge my batteries myself. But for somebody like you who needs to be out, who needs that interaction, who needs those other people around them, I can see how difficult this is. This is for you, just being home and just being with yourself 24/7. Like, you be around more people.
I do. That's how I charge my social battery. Honestly, it's not even a social battery at this point. It's like a life battery.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and for you, it's like you're not used to spending this much time with your own thoughts and yourself. Like, we'll probably talk about it once we get to our topic, but just being around your family, I see how much y'all have been together and just seeing the house y'all have currently. If that's the most space y'all have had, y'all have lived in some tight quarters, and so y'all were on top of each other.
Honestly,
always in each other's faces.
I mean, yeah, the house that they're in now was very similar to a different house. We only ever lived in like 2 houses. But yeah, it was pretty much the same amount of space.
Yeah.
So.
And so with all of that, and then just abruptly switching to just staying in the house with no foreseeable end to this mess.
And that's the thing. You can't tell. You can't make plans and be like, hey, we're going to hang out at this specific day doing this specific thing. And I'll be like, great, I have something to look forward to. But it's like...
You're not sure. Nobody's sure. The president isn't sure. He's just uttering nonsense nowadays.
But we're not going to get there. We're not a political podcast.
No, we are not a political podcast. But yeah, I think all of that adding up and stacking up on each other is starting to take its toll.
Yeah. And then throw Mother Nature in there. That don't help.
Mixing up those emotions, not knowing what is anger and what is sadness and what deserves tears and what doesn't.
I've said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. Women have gotten the short end of the stick in everything. Everything.
I can see it.
Everything.
I can definitely see it.
Just because one hoe wanted to eat an apple?
It wasn't
the apple itself or the fruit. They don't ever say what.
And it wasn't really her fault. If you read it and you look at the trigger point, is when Adam started to eat it. Adam had the responsibility to tell her.
Yeah.
And just didn't.
And
he was like, oh, although I know I shouldn't be doing this,
I'm going to do it anyway.
The woman that was taken out of my ribs, who knows me the best, is doing it and is offering it to me. Why not?
See? That's when you don't submit to the right man. I mean, there were no other men.
There were no other men. That kind of was literally the man you were made for.
But it also goes to show how important a man's role is in life and marriage.
And relationships.
Relationships. You have to lead by example, fam.
Yeah.
If you would have been like, nah, we don't do that over here.
Knock it out of her hand. Like, what you doing? We don't talk to snakes. Like, come on. You want to go back in my rib? Because I can put you back in my...
No, you can't.
God took you out of here, and he can put you back.
Whatever. I don't think that's how that works.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm getting through it.
Yeah.
The only way to do it is to get through it.
Is to walk through it. You know, nothing's going to get done if you don't acknowledge it and work through it. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. Some days you're going to feel like you're losing the battle, but... You'll be better for it on the other side.
Yeah.
Rose. My rose is that we can still get comics.
Oh, yes. And I'm glad we're getting comics since Thorn 2.0. None of our shows are around anymore.
Yeah, and that's my... is it my Thorn? I think it's my Thorn. I was thinking about Thorns while you was talking about your rose or Thorn. I don't think I have one.
So what you're saying is you don't listen to what I have to say.
I am completely listening. We just had a whole conversation while I was off, and that's why I forgot. Yeah, we're still getting comics. We're catching up on the stuff we feel months behind.
Yes.
Right? Like one of the stuff we got is like 10 issues deep, and it only comes out once a month.
So it's like
10 whole months, really? Really?
I
like
mean,
wedding, moving.
Yeah.
It's about 10 months
now.
10
months. And it's not like we stopped for the wedding in September.
No,
we stopped in like June, July.
We were moving. Once we knew we got approved for that, we were like, all right, time to save some money so we can get movers.
And we didn't.
No, we did not. Next time, though.
Oh, next time.
Yeah, still getting comics. Thorn, no anime. Thorn. So I got the Star Wars Fallen Order game, right?
Right.
And I thought I was done with it.
Right.
Apparently there was like a DLC that came out yesterday, May the 4th. May the 4th be with y'all. And I feel disrespected.
How so? I was honestly surprised to come home from work and you were playing. I was like, huh.
Haven't seen it in a while.
Right.
Nothing special. So, DLC. it's some good stuff, but the thing that I wanted that they kind of put in the game, but it's not really, it's what pissed me off. So let's talk about the good first.
Let's talk about the good.
So you can, in the current story you're playing, you got like this meditation circle where you save the game at or whatever, and that they now have challenges. So you have preset challenges where it's like, so like Star Wars Battlefront. You know, when you wanted to do the multiplayer one, you went to a separate part where it actually challenges like full on waves of people you to fight and all of that. So they got that, and you playing as, you know, Kyle or whatever, and going through those waves, completing that. They have another section where you can pre-select or basically make your own level. You can say who's the boss of at this part, how many waves you won, who's the final boss. Real dope.
Legit.
Didn't get that part. Tried to go to the part I care about. Let's talk about the bad. New Game Plus got added.
Right.
And you know.
Okay. For the people who don't know what New Game Plus is.
I'm explaining. I'll get there.
Right.
So, you know, you have your Spider-Man, you have your God of War, where when you complete the game, unlock all your items and abilities, you know, everything that makes Spider-Man and Kratos who they are.
Right. The special abilities,
and then
fighting styles.
You go to New Game Plus. You start the story over. It's harder, but you also have all the equipment you just searched for. You got all the moves you unlocked. You're not starting at 0. You're starting at 100 on a harder level.
Okay. That makes sense.
Star Wars Fallen Order.
No.
You get to keep all your cosmetics. They even throw in a nice little Darth Inquisitor's costume so you can pretend like you're on the dark side or whatever. You got a red lightsaber now. Cool.
That's legit.
Right. You would think that. But then you start the game over and you start from 0.
Are you serious?
Like, what was
the point? That's just the game.
That's, you legitimately are just playing the game.
Just the game.
All you got is all the ponchos you found, all the different lightsaber colors. You don't get to keep none of your powers. You got to go through and unlock the Force all over again. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm going back to the other my other save file and just play the challenges.
I was about to say.
Screw this.
That makes no sense.
Because, like, what am I going to do? Just wear an Inquisitor outfit and run around with a red lightsaber unlocking all my Force? Like, for what?
You got to unlock the Force all over again.
Again. Like, I have to go through all these wall climbing challenges all over again just so I can run on a freaking wall. I'm like, yeah, I don't care anymore.
So that's another thing. With New Game Plus, do you have to, like, redo the tutorial?
Yeah, you got to redo the tutorial. So I had to sit there. I couldn't. So when the game started, you know, you think you can jump, use the Force, whatever. No. You got to wait till you get a ledge, and then there's the credits will come. Like, all right, press X to jump. And it's like...
That's the worst. That is the worst. First of all, I don't play through tutorials in the first place. If I can skip it, I'm not going to do it.
I don't know what the point for them to put this New Game Plus there. It's like, if I'm just going to redo... Like... So with the original game, it's open world. So even after you finish the game, you can literally go back to every planet fighting the same people.
So it's because I know with Borderlands you can't. There are certain like relics and stuff that you can see, but you can't decode it until after you finish the story. Right.
And I feel like that's why because there's certain things you can't do unless you have a certain part of the Force, like. When you first start out, all you can do is Force push. But there's a part where you have to pull something with the Force, or you have to get a vine that's farther away, and you got to pull that. Or you can throw your lightsaber, all of that crap. But you got to unlock more of the Force to do that. You can't do it off the jump, or you'll probably crush the game in like a minute. But I'm like, what was the point of New Game Plus, though? You didn't have to put that there. Like, I honestly would have been fine with the challenges, you know, go in, try to get 3 stars and everything. That's a challenge.
Right.
But now it's like, this very, very much put a damper on my May the 4th.
Aww.
And it's like, you didn't have to put this here. You could have literally done everything else except for putting this here. So, that's my thorn. We don't have an anime corner since there ain't no anime.
I mean, I haven't been reading manga, so it's not much to talk about there.
I'm trying to finish my comics before I get into Bay Stars and Berserk. So,
I have another rose.
What's that?
So I have talked to 2 of my friends who tell me that they're listening to the podcast.
Hey.
So I'm just like, all right, cool.
Shout out to the friends. We're going to shout them out.
I'm not going to put their business out there.
All right, shouting out to the friends. Excuse me, that was
you know who you
nasty.
are. But it's refreshing because
to actually know.
And don't get me wrong, I can see like the views on Facebook and stuff like that.
Right.
But in my head, it was always like, oh, that's just from us watching it. Like, oh, that's just 2-second views when it's like on somebody's timeline. Like, not people actually sitting and listening to the whole episode and listening to get into the good part, essentially.
Right.
Because
like she even mentioned the part you was talking about that's in the topic. Like, so it's not like she could have listened to 15 minutes. And
they're just like done with it. Like, and even though, and she even told me, she was like, I don't really watch anime, but I really like how you and Peter talk about it and the stuff that y'all talk about. And I was like, oh, and I was like, have we ever said anything that like makes you be like, I'm gonna watch that? She was like, no, I tried to watch it with my husband. I just can't get into it. And I was like, you know what?
That's fair.
That's okay.
That's
like,
fair. Some
you
people
tried
like
it at
that.
least.
Yeah.
And that's how some people are. And I'm like, cool. At least you tried it.
I will say there is an anime for everybody, but I'm glad she tried it.
Right.
So maybe she just didn't get around to the one that she'd like.
Exactly.
So at least that door is open.
At least that door is open now.
So that's good.
I'm like, all right, cool. And now we have something to talk about next time.
Yeah.
We go visit or they come visit us.
Oh man, that'll be great.
Oh, right?
That'll be nice.
So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my other friend just told us, she was like, y'all got good chemistry. And I was like, well, I ain't got nobody else to talk to right now. Yeah. So
we gotta have, but I don't know, maybe because we've been friends for so long that it's just it's just there.
It's just there. You
don't gotta really force it or work on it. It's just gotta nurture it. Keep it alive.
Feed it. Let it grow.
So, like last week, we said, did we say what our topic was gonna be?
Yes. Oh, we did. Towards the end. I was confused. I was like, what did we say last week?
So yeah. What is our topic? Tell the listeners.
Topic today is our family of origin and how our family of origin it's about family of origin and how we perceive the world based on our family of origin and things that we grew up with.
Okay. I'm gonna help y'all out and actually give y'all a pseudo definition for it.
Oh, I even looked up a definition, but you go ahead.
You looked up a definition?
You go ahead. I was just going to paraphrase, but you can give me
well, I mean, this is probably a paraphrase too, to be honest. Our family of origin is the family we were born or adopted into. Mm-hmm. It's the people who raise us and who we spend most of our childhood with. The importance of individuals' family of origin is enormous, since parenting shapes a child's core beliefs about him or herself. Our family's beliefs about what it means to be human and the purpose of life will have a tremendous influence on what we learn and how we develop. These beliefs will, in turn, inform every decision and choice we make and every relationship you have.
Agreed. The only thing that I found in research that wasn't mentioned there is the fact that your family of origin, well, I guess they touched on it, but the fact that your family of origin does not have to be your biological family.
Yeah.
So for people who are adopted, which they did say,
yep.
It's not, so your family of origin isn't nature, what you're born into, it's not nature, it's not hereditary. It's more so nurture, the people who nurture you and the people you spend time with.
Who poured into you.
Now, for most people, that is your biological family, but for people who were, like, adopted, that's not the same thing. Like, your family of origin, if you're adopted, would be the family that adopted you, not
raised you.
The people who birthed you.
Correct. I got you. So, I'll let you speak on yours first since I went last time.
Okay. So my family of origin, it's my mom. My dad wasn't around.
That plays a piece.
It plays a huge piece.
Plays a piece.
And it'll play more of a piece once we get into things. So it was always me. For the most part, it was me, my mom, and my younger sister.
Right.
I do have a younger brother, and he lived with his dad for majority of his life. He came to live with us for a couple of years, now that we're, like, older.
Right.
But that wasn't necessarily working, so he's in the position right now where he's reevaluating what he wants to do and where he wants to be. I mean, and it's something that we all have to do eventually.
Right.
So me, my mom, my sister, majority of the time. We do have a brother. He came over. I love my siblings. And for majority of my life, me, my mom, my sister, we always lived with either my aunt and her daughter, or my uncle and his son, or all of us at the same time.
Yeah.
We were very close, very tight knit. My grandmother was always around, always came to see us. So it was a very tight knit family. We were always very close, always up on top of one another. Always. Like I said, we've only lived in 2 houses my life, and they've been the same size.
Yeah.
Like, single family home, basement, bedroom in the basement, 2-3 bedrooms upstairs,
right,
kitchen, simple house. I'm trying to think of what else. There weren't very many men around in our lives. My great-grandfather passed away when I was like 4.
Okay.
So growing up, I saw my great-grandmother without a man in the house. My grandmother was married at one point. Then they got separated and divorced. He didn't make good choices. I'll just say that. It was a lot of drug and abuse.
I got you.
So it was that. And so they split up. I never really saw them together. I don't think I ever saw them together, like, at all. And then, like I said, my dad, my siblings' dad, wasn't around. Same thing with my aunt. And my uncle was around, but my uncle was very standoffish and distant.
A guy.
So, I mean, yes, but it wasn't like he was, oh, let me take you under your wing and be a paternal figure.
Right.
It was, I'm going to preface this, y'all, by saying that I know that all of my family, we love each other very, very, very much, but because we're Black people and we grew up in a lower tax bracket, we didn't have access to, like, therapy and anything. It was always work, go to school, come home, sleep, work, go to sleep. Like,
to be honest.
To be honest.
You could have stopped it back.
So now being an adult and reflecting on where and how I grew up, my uncle was very standoffish because he had his own issues and problems that he needed to work with.
Yeah.
Me and my sister joke all the time that, like, the uncle that we grew up with isn't the uncle that our cousins got now, because he wouldn't let us sing in the car.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah.
I know how that is.
So, but again, it wasn't like I never felt love there. It was always just like, everybody was always preoccupied with other things.
Yeah.
So that's my family of origin in a nutshell, I guess.
Okay.
It was a lot of love, but I feel like it wasn't necessarily shown.
Yeah, I got you.
And that's just how it was. I mean, we were too focused on working and trying to survive and live. Like, you don't, you're not 30-something living with your siblings just because you want to. Like, it's because you have to. You have to survive. So that's what a lot of it was for me growing up in my family of origin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we touched on it last week, but
yeah.
Spark Note surgeon.
So, yeah, I'll preface it. My family, we do love each other. We love each other a lot. There are definitely tension here and there, but it's always love. It's always love. So I'll start with saying my parents are Caribbean. They're foreigners. They're from Jamaica. Don't worry. Don't call the cops. ICE. They got their green cards. They legal. They been here for a while.
They don't call ICE for your type of people.
They call them all types of people.
Sorry. They shouldn't be calling ICE for any type of people.
Let's be real.
It's neither
but
here nor there.
That's a big part of my family of origin. They're Caribbean, so I didn't grow up like your standard everyday American in a sense.
Quote unquote.
I had a complete family. I had my mother
As
and
if
my
mine
father.
wasn't. Like, it was complete. It was just different.
I had my mother. I had my father. I have an older brother. I have a younger brother. So I'm technically a middle child. Although I'm also my mother's firstborn. So it's kind of tricky there.
You definitely are a middle child.
But I grew up a middle child. So in my home, I feel like my mother showed more of the love her kids needed individually. Let me say that. My mother is a daycare provider. She works for kids. She works with kids. She now works in a charter school in D.C. So she is still with kids till this day. So with a job like that, you have to cater to different personalities. Not all kids are the same.
Right.
Not all kids respond the same. Not all kids receive information and teaching the same. So my mother had that skill from the get-go. So that's why I feel like a lot of the love in the house that was individualized, because I've come to the realization that you can't love everybody the same way.
Oh, yes.
So that's why I say that.
I agree with that.
My mother wouldn't be able to interact and love Galen the same way she interacts and loves me. So she recognizes that she has 3 kids, and she loves all of them. But the same type of love for Jamala wouldn't work for me.
Right.
Jamala needed a tougher hand, a tougher love. Galen needed a gentler hand, and I kind of got the leftovers. No, I'm joking. My mother, I honestly think I'm her favorite.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. Okay, no, for real, say it. Because, like, I feel like every family and every kid, I don't mean to, like, cut you, but, like, every kid and every family, like, every family knows who the favorite is, but your parents are always like, no, I don't have favorites. I love all of you equally. And it's like,
no, you don't.
i.e., Shonda, I know who your favorite kid is, and it ain't me.
No. So my mother knows that, she can joke, talk about her emotions, talk about day-to-day stress with me. With Jamala, it's more, are you okay? Are you handling yourself? I know how hard it was when you started out. I want to make sure you're in a better place.
Right.
With Galen, it's more, let me set a fire under his ass, because if I don't, then
he's going to sit there.
He's going to sit there.
Yeah.
But my dad is a tough man. And look, I have all the respect and love in the world for this dude. He's taking care of my mother. He's taking care of my brothers. He's taking care of me. He's taking care of our household. I completely and totally understand how tough of a situation he is in currently. Not going to give that information. Just I know how tough that is for him right now. And I know it's tough to see people keep growing and moving, and it doesn't feel like are too concerned about how you are.
Ooh, a word.
Right?
A word.
But growing up throughout my life, he has always been the provider. Bills paid, never worried about that. School, me and my younger brother went to private schools. Never had to worry about if I was going to go to that school again next year. College, he paid my way through my first 2 years of college. Same for Galen. Private schools, college, taken care of. That's something we need to worry about. It came to the point even so far as when I got my driver's license, I didn't even ask if I can have the car. Yeah. I just left, assuming it was fine.
Yours,
he was like, "All right, send me the VIN number, and I'll put you on the insurance." I was like, "Cool." Always a provider, always looking out. But the tough thing about such a tough Caribbean old school dude is the way he shows love. And it stems from his family origin, right, where he only had his mother. He had Papa Wright, yeah, but that wasn't his father. His father was gone. He never really had his dad. He had a dad.
Yeah.
But as you already know, it's still different to have a father but not your father.
Oh, yeah.
To see your father raise a whole other family but left yours.
Why are you just right in the heart?
Like, so I understand and I get why he's so hard, in a sense, and why it's so hard to get anything out of him. Yeah. So with him being that way, there was a lot of tension in the house because us kids who have a mother who raises daycare kids and is so in tune with your well-being and your love and your emotions, when you try to take that relationship with your mother and put it on your relationship with your father and you don't get the same response, that kind of puts a tension in the household that's very palpable. Him and my older brother, which is his son, they've always knocked heads. It wasn't really till Jay had his own kids and made sure he was stable and on his own that they've really started to have a relationship.
Right.
So in my house, there was, although we had our father, that type of love and affection and guidance, that your typical everyday American would get from their father,
it wasn't there.
There was a disconnect. He was more so, let me instill this work ethic in you. Let me make sure you can take care of yourself with your own hands. Let me make sure you know what it means to be a provider. Yeah. It was those type of things. But a love from a man who's your father, I don't have a memory of that growing up. And I struggled with that for a while. Also, it was really because my father expected a type of perfection that none of us were able to give. We've all of us have felt like we needed to live up to this standard that was very stressful, that when we didn't and the hammer came down on us, it was very breaking. It broke us emotionally for sure, physically for sure, but I think it had the biggest mental effect on all of us. The biggest effect was mental. Yeah. I see it in all of us, my older brother and my younger brother, not really seeing the true worth we have and what we can provide. And I really feel like that stems from trying to meet that level of perfection he expected of us. I remember one day started my nice little government job, making a little bit of money. Thought I was doing what I was supposed to do.
Right.
My dad needed something, and I couldn't provide that. And he was mad. He said some words. He was upset, and I just couldn't figure out what I did wrong. I couldn't figure out why. Honestly, like, no shade to my older brother, love him to death. He's literally pulled himself up by his own bootstraps.
Honestly,
I have the biggest respect for him.
Story.
I like truly look up to him when it comes to survival and trying to make a way for yourself when nobody believes you can. But just trying to figure out what I did. I'm not living in this house without a job. I have a government job just taking care of me. I'm paying my bills. I had a car note. Probably had to pay insurance at the time, but I'm paying my bills. Like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, yet
you're still not happy.
Still expect more.
Yeah.
So that's something I carried throughout my life. Getting jobs, losing jobs, being with women, like, that's affected me not feeling like I'm enough because I can't live up to this standard that I probably projected on other people just because I knew that's how my father was. I had to live up to this level of perfection. One of the things that I can laugh at today, but kind of broke me before, is that I made salutatorian in middle school, like second in my class, but all he can focus on is the fact that I didn't get valedictorian.
Yeah, you weren't first.
I wasn't first.
If you're not first, you're last.
I would have started on the football team defensive position, but all he was worried about was that I'm not the quarterback. It's like, but I'm on the team.
And not only that, like, quarterback don't protect himself. Like, quarterback don't score goals.
Like, so that family of origin can affect you deeply, and sometimes you probably won't even notice it until further down in your life. Like, honestly, if it wasn't for my church and that little man's cave we had where we can talk about our emotions and talk to each other about what we were going through, I probably wouldn't be where I am today, emotionally and mentally. I probably wouldn't heal those scars that, honestly, sometimes they feel fresh, but I know they're healed because I can talk about them. Before, I'd be too emotional to get even words out to express that. But just the fact that I can articulate that and actually express that now means it is healing. It's getting better. I won't say over that, but I'm not stuck in it like I was.
Right.
And like I said at the beginning, I have nothing but love and respect for my father. Especially since growing up, being an adult, being outside the house, taking care of myself, I understand that I wouldn't be able to without those lessons he's instilled in me. Okay. It just wasn't what I needed.
Right, at that time.
At that time. What I needed was if you, because it's probably what I'm going to do with my kids. It's like, if you wanted me to be better, it's not a good look to continually talk down on somebody.
Right. If you want them
to do better, be better. You can't tell them that they're the worst at this or that they're too stupid to get there or why you aren't like this person. What you could have said was, all right, so what can I do to help you get that A? Do we need to do tutoring to get that A? Do we need to do this to get there? As a parent, you're supposed to offer help, not just criticism. And so yeah, that's one of the things that I feel like I still carry sometimes through life, even with work. I'll get accolades and this, that, and the other, but inside I don't feel like I've really done anything, that I've earned it. And I feel like that's because I'm trying to live up to a standard that I'm probably setting for myself at this point. So that's my family of origin in a nutshell. At least when it comes to me. I know how to love and express love because of my mother. Mm-hmm. She's a big Christian, Bible-based, church-going believer. I grew up in the church myself. That's also a part of my upbringing, my family of origin, my church.
That's actually your community of origin, which is something different.
That's something different. Cool. That's why she does the research for this topic, and I just talk. But yeah, that's my family in a nutshell. I know how to love because my mother guided me and showed me how to love. I know how to provide and take care of my house at this point because my father taught me those skills. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's about, I guess the only last thing is my brothers. Great guys. Love them to death.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Even though one of them likes to have girlfriends and don't bring her around.
Man, we don't talk about him and his 1,000 of girls. I hope your girlfriend not watching.
Don't put my brother out there like he is not. He is.
I swear he had another shorty last week. No, did I say that? Oops.
And he can do that.
I'm joking.
That is okay. He is dating. Do you want to go back to our episode from a couple weeks ago?
No, he is in a relationship now.
Now he is in a relationship. At first he was dating.
But yeah, my brothers, they're great. They don't stress me out, but I do feel like they've never really stressed me out. I just like any sibling, you worry and you're concerned about your siblings, but I wouldn't call it stress. But if there is something I would call stress, is that although I have an older brother, they all look to me as the oldest brother, and it's like, all right, I'll take care of y'all.
You got
y'all
your
family
together.
So yeah, I'm the first one that got married. Don't be guilty, guys. Y'all catch up.
As if it's a race.
Says you.
It's not a race.
It's not a race?
It's not a race.
So what you're saying is you wouldn't be mad at Monet if something pops up before it pops up for you?
Honestly, me as the person I was 4 or 5 months ago would have been upset, end of the world, boohoo crying, I'm worthless, I'm nothing. Like, so dramatic. Mm-hmm. But as of now, I'm understanding and I'm learning that everybody's journey is for a reason.
Okay.
God put you on a specific path to do specific things for a reason. And today, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't even say I would be concerned, honestly. Like, they got a nice place to live. They both got jobs. They're stable.
Right.
So why not bring a kid into the world if you want it?
I got you.
It is what it is. And I wouldn't mind another baby to hang around. But for me and my family of origin, I think it's funny that you brought up the fact that your brothers see you as the oldest, because I'm actually the oldest. Like, within my mom's kids, and a year or two ago? A little while ago, a year or two ago, semi-recent.
I think your stepdad's kids.
Yeah. My mom got remarried. He had 2 adult kids, and I'm still the oldest, so it's like, all right, cool. And a lot of the time, not even a lot of the time, majority of the time, throughout my life, I was always looked to as the standard because I was the oldest. You have to set things, and it, honestly, thinking back on it, it was so much pressure, and that's why I put so much pressure on myself today, is because I had my mom, my aunt, like my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my aunts and uncle, like my great aunts and uncles, like, because our family has always been so tight-knit and so close, there was never anything that nobody knew about. Like,
Facts.
Privacy did not exist.
Facts.
On the good side and the bad side.
That's why you're an extrovert. That's why you can give out that energy.
I can give out that energy. I can give out that information. I'm an open book. It's because that's how I was raised. But with me being the oldest and me setting an example unintentionally, it was a lot of pressure because I always felt like I couldn't let anybody down. Okay. I can't let my sisters down. Like, I can't let my sister down. I can't let my cousin down. I can't let my mom down. I can't let my parents down. Like, and my mom used to joke right before I went off to college. She used to be like, yeah, you're going to be in a party and then you're going to be ready to like start drinking and stuff and look around and see the faces of all your family members that's looking to you. And I'm like, so first time I go out, plastered. Like,
I can't so see nothing. My eyes don't. So now what, mama?
But like and then I felt guilty about it afterwards because I was like, dang, like what if my sister find out? I don't want her to think it's okay to be out in the streets wilding. Like,
when you're out of high school, of course it is. You're an adult.
But I didn't see it that way because although I was an adult and in college, I was still living up to my family's expectations.
I got you.
And naturally, I was just the one, even after I graduated, I was the one that everybody would turn to like keep everything straight. Like I said, my younger brother came to live with us as adults. And he needed some extra push, some extra help. And it was always like, hey, Sharon, you should talk to your brother. Hey, you should go do this. Talk to your sister. Talk to this person. Talk to your mother. Like, So I was always put in that position as the mediator, the glue, the stuff like that. Whether it was intentional or unintentional, it's still where I found myself in my family. So now being an adult, like, and one thing that I've really struggled with lately is just accepting that my family is going in separate directions. Because it's like, okay, we live out here together. Like, my sister is in a house with her boo. Like, my brother is thinking about going off to Florida. Like, my parents moved out. Like,
they moved out.
They moved out of their house where all the kids were staying. I was like, all right, bye. We're going to get our own.
I'm married now. I'm out.
So it was very hard for me to accept the fact that, like, the family that I grew up with, knowing, like, my identity is a super close, super tight-knit family, and now it's not that anymore. So it's like, where do we, how? Like,
how do you fit in? How is that gonna
look? Like, how? And it's directly against everything that we grew up with, that we grew up entangled in. So my struggle is to now find out, or I guess discover, where that lies for me.
Yeah, where you feel this new dynamic.
Right. And it should be, honestly, and I think this is where I'm going, is that it's now my turn for me to focus on my family and making sure that my family, the fruit of my womb, or somebody else's if we adopt, things happen. But just to make sure that my family is coming up in the way that they should be.
I got you.
Like, I feel like every single time, every devotion that we've been doing this week, like every sermon, like Dee's sermon on Monday, like everything has just been like hit. This new book that I started reading, like, I'm just like, all right, like, and it's,
God knows it takes multiple times to get it through your head.
Look, like, so that's where I'm going and that's where I'm transitioning into. And it's extremely hard when every single thing about my life now looks nothing like the life I grew up with. I grew up, again, a lot of single women, a lot of single mothers, making it do what it do. Like, we took care of ourselves, we took care of each other, we were always close, we always lived together, we always talked about everything. And now it's like, and I'll be honest, and again, it's probably childish of me. Y'all, my parents got married at, like, when I was like 25, 26. I'm 27. But even as an adult, I was like, oh, that's the enemy. Like, I don't want... He's the reason all this is happening. Like, my mother don't need to be with him. But now it's like, no, I understand. That's exactly what she needed. So it's hard going from a family of all women and
women taking care of themselves.
And women taking care of themselves to actually all of us having men to take care of us now.
Submission is a big problem for y'all.
It is huge. Like, on all fronts. And even then, it's like, as I was learning and going through I had to learn how to submit. I had to learn what that meant for me and what that meant for our relationship. I mean, even then I got on my high horse and was like, well, since I'm the leader, I'm going to show y'all how you're supposed to submit. And your submission doesn't look like my submission, so I don't think it's right. Like, and then like now I had to get knocked down a couple pegs because it's like, yes, their submission does not look like my submission, but they're not who I am.
Their marriage is their marriage.
Their marriage is their marriage, and their relationship dynamic is completely different. What works for us doesn't necessarily work for other people.
Facts.
So yeah, it's difficult, but I am overall grateful that both of our families of origin. I'm grateful that not only we had our specific families of origin, which are vastly different. Like, you grew up in a very nuclear, very stable family. And me, it was just like, it is what it is. Like,
we're surviving day by day.
I was just going to say that I think it's wonderful that although we grew up in vastly different families of origin, we can recognize the good and the bad parts of it and talk about it and bring it to our new family so that we can create our own.
Yeah. So, facts, definitely. One of my things that I'm just starting to change my thought on is like I said, my dad didn't show us the love that we wanted. Mm-hmm. He showed us the love that he knew how to show. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I totally respect him for it. But I had a moment in my life where I was always saying that I will never be like my dad. I won't talk to my kids like my dad talked to us. I won't treat my children this way. I won't treat my this, that, and the other.
No, I was going to say something, but I was like, no, I'll keep that to myself for right now.
But now, I've come to the realization that it wasn't all bad.
It wasn't.
That being a kid and happening to you, you feel like that's your whole world.
Because it is at the moment.
Yeah, of course. You feel like that's everything, but growing up, you have to, like the Bible says, when you become a man, you leave your childish ways behind. Mm-hmm. Now it's not more so I won't be like my father, because there are definitely things that my father did in my household that I'm definitely going to copy and bring over to my home. What I say now is that I'm going to be better than my father. Mm-hmm. I'll show the kids the type of love they need that wasn't shown to me. Right. I won't try to love them the way I needed to be loved, because, like I said, not everybody receives or needs that same type of love.
Your 5 love languages. Shout out to episode 1 if you guys want to go back and watch.
So I understand that, and I'm getting to that realization that my father wasn't the enemy. Yeah. He was just a product of his own family of origin. Yeah, exactly.
And who knows what parts of his family of origin he subconsciously brought over.
Right.
And what parts he left.
Being an older black man, first off. Second of all, probably more importantly, being an older black Jamaican. Mm-hmm. Therapy was probably never in the picture. Please. So he probably wouldn't know anything about introspection unless he watches this podcast. Yeah. And he starts to think about these things himself.
He'll be angry first.
Oh, definitely.
But he'll think about it later.
He's going to be furious that I even brought it up. He'll get over it. Yeah. Like my home, we didn't live in small places like you did. Our last home was a big, nice single family home. There was literally everybody had their own room. There was no reason for you to be in the same area if you didn't want to be. My dad had his
y'all
office.
just had so much space. Like when I moved in with y'all, it was like, what? I got
elbow
room? Like,
my mother had a daycare downstairs. My brother had his own room. I had our own room. Honestly,
had an office,
my dad had an office. We had a guest room. We honestly had our own bathrooms, to be honest. But because of that, and because of that tension and stress we felt living in the household where we felt like we had to be perfect, I kept to myself a lot. I grew up learning how to be my own friend, entertain myself, be okay with me time, even if that was all the time.
Right.
Trying to not set off a spark, because when he got angry, it was scary. So you try to make sure you do what you're supposed to do, and then after that's done, make sure you're not seen.
Right.
So that's how me and my brothers grew up. It's like, all right, he said do this, let me go do this, let me go do it right the first time, so I don't have to do it 12 times, and make sure he never sees me for the rest of the day. So that's why I ended up being okay and becoming an introvert. I don't have that high of energy that my little brother does. He can talk your head off. My older brother, he is the life of the party.
Oh man.
Me, I'll sit back in the cut and chill.
You just watch.
I'm a people watcher. Pull me out, I'll go have fun with you, but as soon as you take your eyes off me, I'm out.
Oh, yeah. And that was honestly something that we had to work on in our relationship.
Oh,
because it's like, me, I always want to go places, I always want to be with people, I always want to see and do things, and you're like, but my video game's at home though. Like,
my couch though.
I can sit and chill, and I'm just like, no, I want to go out. So it'll be like, first I'm dragging you out to go places and spending all my energy doing that, and then it's like, well, one, it was like, I felt like I had to drag you places because I couldn't understand why. And it was mostly family stuff.
None of your family. It's like, maybe.
No, not even that. It was more so I couldn't, because these things, so like, one year, it was like a Easter egg hunt at my grandmother's house. And I was like, I really want to go. Like, I would really appreciate it if you were there. And you were just like, nah, I don't want to go. Like, I'm trying to sit and chill. And I got emotional about it. Cried a little bit. But it was because I couldn't understand why you didn't see how important a family function like this was, and why it was so important that we were there. And it goes back to our family of origin. Like, you didn't have stuff like that. Like, your family didn't have cookouts for the sake of having cookouts, or like rituals and things like that.
Yeah. Thinking about it that way, absolutely. You had your family around you. You had your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents. You had all of them there. Yeah. Y'all had a family function. It was literally
everybody
a family
showed
reunion.
out. Yeah.
My family in Jamaica, so unless we buying tickets, we ain't seeing them.
No.
So we didn't get that.
No, and that was so hard, because it was like, not only did I have to stress you out and stress myself out to even get you here, now that we're here, you're not having a good time, and I'm frustrated and pissed off, because it's like, why don't you want to have a good time? Like, and I always, because of how I grew up, that's how I saw a good time was, going around, mingling with people, having fun. You have fun. I'm not going to say having fun, because having fun is subjective. But it wasn't my version. So I would be like pissed off and frustrated that you're like in the corner sitting there, and you're like, no, I'm having a great time, babe. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not talking to nobody.
Like, I'm not. I'm having a fantastic time.
But it just goes to show how deeply ingrained your family of origin is without you. Nobody
Without
ever
realizing
growing
it.
up said, hey, family is important. Family time is important.
Yeah.
Spending time with your family is important. Nobody ever said that. But because it was my norm and it was what I grew up seeing the whole time, that's why it was like, oh man, well, you're supposed to do this. Like,
I mean,
I expect you to do it. But it's
when
like,
you would have dinner with my family, you would see that although, yeah, we're in the kitchen together, we're at the table, it's like, our energy isn't up there. It's like,
Nah.
we're good at 35%. We are all good. We are having a great time right now.
But I think that's why me and Jamala get along so well at family functions.
Jamala-
because we're both like up here
Jamal-
cracking jokes, being loud. Like
Jay can be at 35. He can relax and chill with us. But like I said, he is the life of the
Yeah.
party. Like when Jamal is in the room, he will make himself known. Like I am here.
Hey.
Like I love him to death because honestly, Thanksgiving would be kind of boring
oh
if Jamal ain't
man,
show up. Like let's be honest, I would
Let's be
try to
honest.
take his place and crack a joke. No, all right, I'm just sitting here now. But yeah, your family was a lot for me at first. Just because you guys are so open.
right?
Y'all at 10.
Yeah.
So it was a lot. Like I would sit there in the basement with y'all, cracking jokes here and there. Haha, yeah. Ha. Your mother was like, "Hey, B, you this, that," and they were like, "Yeah, here's an option. I'm gonna go back to my phone now." And it's just, I see how y'all operate, and it's like, this is nice. I'm good with just being here.
You're just watching, and that's okay.
I'm glad your parents get it now.
Oh,
I see
yeah,
how
absolutely.
frustrating it was before. Completely understand.
And then, like when we went to my friend's going away thing at the Wizards game.
Yes.
Like his
Found
sister,
that corner?
right? I was chilling the whole night, but his
Granted,
sister
I
was
had
like,
back pain too, but
yeah. Even back then, really?
yeah, that was like the weekend after because
Are you serious?
that weekend I hung out with James, and then the weekend
Yeah, your
after,
birthday weekend. No.
and then James' birthday, and then the weekend after is when we had the
Oh, you're right.
joint.
Yeah. But even there, like, my friend was like, hey, is Peter okay? Is he having fun? I was like, trust me, he's fine. He's great. He'll be good. I'm going to go drop some wings off, and then I'll be right back. And, like, she was like, but I feel like we need to go over there and sit with him. I was like, he'll be better if we don't. Like, we can stay over here and continue partying and having fun. Like, he's enjoying himself, but it's just different. And I think it's because
everybody experiences that different.
everybody experiences things differently.
Ashley's a part of your family, yourself.
Yeah,
Y'all
Ashley
just
is a part of my
something.
family.
Man, y'all loud. Yeah, her and her mother look just alike, and y'all got some big mouths.
Yeah.
And it's like I see why y'all so loud.
It's not just because of big mouth.
You got a lot to come out.
Whatever. But it's honestly amazing when you sit to think about it, how your family of origin is ingrained in you without people physically saying, hey, do this, hey, this is important, hey, do that. Explicitly, I'm saying, like.
No. Yeah.
But it's also interesting how much it plays a role in your everyday life. I mean, on one hand, yes, it makes sense. You grow up that way, you're not going to just become a completely different person as you get older. But when you really sit and think about the rhyme and the reason behind things, like, that's what's interesting to me.
Like, you didn't really understand when we first started dating why I would cancel dates or this, that, and the other. And it was like, you're always at work. It was like, until you started living with me and you was like, oh, damn, he's always at work.
No, but really, like, oh man. And I love Charmaine. She was a great band.
Shout out to Charmaine, man. I miss you, boo.
But look, I would be like dressed, ready to go, and you call me and be like, yeah, I can't make it. Car broke down. I'd be like,
yeah.
like, I'd be like, do I have dumbass written across my forehead? Like, I'm supposed to believe your car broke down on the day we supposed to go do something? I used to be real upset. But like now,
Charmaine.
I was like, oh, all right. Like when you came to pick me up for something. It was when we like first started dating. You came to pick me up for something, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna roll the window down, and it didn't budge. I was like,
try to get in the back seat, but like, handle heat. Okay. Had a broken back window. Did it. Yeah. Love you, boo. Charmaine was great, man.
She was.
Oh man.
But yeah. I mean, it's who you are, and I think that's one of the greatest things.
I think it's
about
real healthy once you start to recognize what your family of origin has instilled in you. Because whether it's good or bad, you have a way to backtrack it and see where it came from.
Right.
And then if it is bad, if you can figure out what part of the family of origin that came from, you have a way to work your way out of that bad.
Yeah. And you know what to leave and what to continue to carry with you into your own family.
Right. And just being aware that your family of origin can affect you in such a way, it's good too.
It's good too. For me, it's very healthy, especially throughout, like I said, with my mental, I've been struggling lately. But it's very healthy to acknowledge things and acknowledge that there's not necessarily a solution behind it.
I got you.
Like when I start feeling down and sad and frustrated, I acknowledge those feelings. And at first it was like, okay, I have these feelings, I need to fix them. But now I'm like, no. Just knowing them, just knowing they're there and just knowing they exist and just knowing why is a lot healthier than feeling like I need to fix it. Because with things like mental health, you can't. Like, you can't. I'm sorry. Like, you can take all the pills, you can talk all the talks, but
it'll still be there.
That's how you're wired.
Like, although recognizing that I'm not in competition with somebody else, that I don't got to live up to somebody else's standard other than what I set for myself, it's good to know, that's good to recognize, but I still struggle with that. Like my job, I wasn't there that day, but they gave me a statue for working there for 5 years. And for me, it was just like, just because I worked here, I don't deserve this just because I was here for 5 years. But then later on, thinking about it, I was like,
you've had one solid job for 5 years.
I had a job for 5 years, but not just that. Like, I'm one of the original team members on my team that knows the old tools. And although we're switching over to new tools, and like that is a headache in and of itself, I have value there because I was there for 5 years.
Yeah.
So
it's not just that you were there, but it's what you gained and what you learned.
Right. So I had to look at it that way, and I was like, I might want to put that somewhere.
Absolutely.
I just don't know where yet.
I feel like we're slowly getting to the point where it's like, all right, we got too much shit. We need a house. Like, so yeah, I'm glad we had this talk.
Yeah. So that's our family of origin.
Yes.
Do we have a next time? Are we gonna work on that? So
I don't know.
We'll see you guys next week.
You know me, I don't do this.
We'll put up what our topic is, or you can create polls. People can pick.
Oh, that would be nice.
We'll figure that out. See what happens. Yeah. Look at our Facebook, Twitter. It'll be on one of them.
In the meantime, sit and think about your family of origin.
Yeah, think about where you came from. It's been real, y'all.
Bye.